Hey, what's up? It's John from the YouTube channel Pro Craps. Back in 2021, we did a 24-hour telethon to raise funds for the National Council on Problem Gambling. In fact, we raised over $6,000 to raise awareness and provide resources for those with gambling problems. As part of the telethon, we interviewed over 20 of the biggest names in gambling to get their perspective on gambling issues, gambling problems, their experiences, and of course have a little bit of fun with them. I hope you'll enjoy this time that I spent with my good friend Greg from 555 Craps. There's Greg's camera. Greg, can you talk to us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, there you are. Greg.
You see me?
Oh, look at that. Greg and Ken all at the same time.
I don't see
Greg
we're seeing
guys.
We're seeing Greg's
ear,
which is great. All right, that's awesome. Dan Tana says, don't mention dice setting around Greg. Greg can set the dice. Greg's got his own toss. Do you know that? Greg has perfected a toss.
You want me to get into that?
Whenever you want to. I know you want to show it off because you've been practicing it, right?
Well, I can't show you the specifics, but I've been doing this throw for probably 25 years, and I'll tell you that how I got started with it. I had a friend who started Dice Influence when it was brand new, and this guy had a certain type of toss, and he would do his spread his legs about 1.5 foot a gate, and he would do like a throw, and it would look like he'd lean into his leg, and it looked like a rainbow. So I had a pit boss that whenever I walked to the table, I throw sevens. So this guy would, I know this guy a long time. He would go, "Ooh, is anybody else chilly in here? They must have turned up the air conditioning." So I said, I'm going to have to name my throw at some point because people keep asking me, how do you roll so many sevens? So I said, I know what I'll do. I'll call it the Chili Rainbow because my friend, I always goofed on him for the dice control because he was one of the first. So I do have a particular way I show. I can't really show that to you on camera, though, because I'm planning on charging $10,000 a session.
So we got to sign an NDA for it. Is that it?
Yeah, it's what it is because I get accused of being a dice influencer all the time. So how do you roll that many sevens? Supposedly, I'm the ultimate dice influencer. So it is. You can't make this stuff up, John.
Oh my God, you roll more sevens than, like I said. You and Jeremy take. Actually, I roll a lot of sevens too. I find I'm like the strategy hole finder. I crush every strategy I try. But yep. So anyway,
only when you're trying to explain it. Just when you're trying to explain it.
Only when I'm trying to tell you how great the strategy is, then I can go out there and screw it up better than anybody else can. Right? I got special ability for that. So, all right, cool. So Ken's here, Greg's here. Greg, Ken, you guys say hi, and then we'll kick Ken out of here and let Greg have the last hour.
What's up, Ken?
Hey, Greg, my friend.
I'm sorry.
Has he got his cat? I can't see him. Has he got his cat with him?
No cat.
No, he's not. He's not on today. He doesn't like to do these late night sessions. I usually film in the morning.
Well, hey, I appreciate both you guys. Greg, have a good hour. John, kick me out so you can have Greg on here.
There you go. Ken, get out of here. I'll see you later, buddy. Bye.
See ya.
All right. Hey, folks, last hour, I'm going to change Greg's. I'm going to change the shape of Greg. Actually, no, we're going to leave Greg wide because I think that's the way his video is set up anyway. So we'll leave Greg a wider picture. There it is.
Well,
Greg,
yeah, that's cool. I'm planning to do. I'm good. I'm surprised how well you've done through this. You look fantastic. You don't look tired at all.
I don't feel tired. And you know what I said to you, I was worried about the most with my voice giving out. I actually have been through a whole bag of lozenges. I bought the cherry lozenges. I've been chewing those things like Tic Tacs all day. And that's really kind of helped me out. So that was the one thing that worked the best. And it's been a good day. It's been a good day.
Good. I can't praise you enough for this, for what you're doing for the charity. You've done a fantastic job. Hey, listen, we may have had to muddle through it a little bit because it's a brand new thing, but it's fantastic.
Yep. I'll tell you what, in the beginning, in the first 10 minutes, I screwed the whole thing up because I pressed the wrong button. When I went and go live, I hit the wrong go live button and nobody's channel was showing the thing. In the middle of the night, when we had this 3-hour break, I got on the horn with support and they said, "Oh, you screwed it up." So we undid it and redid it. And now it's showing all the channels. And the only hiccup was that, really. And not having people's names ready to go on the screens, and like, things like little things like the details that make it, more professional, I guess. But that's the things you kind of learn as you go. So next time we do this, and there will be a next time, learned a lot of lessons today. Learned a ton of lessons today. And I think I would like to do it again. I think challenging myself to do something like this was cool. Somebody had a great idea earlier, which I wrote down. I forget who it was. I'm gonna forget who this was. If you're still here, you can chat it out. But doing like a 24-hour casino night, like a game night, and having like Casino Quest involved, because they have all the tables, and having like a rotating, like a game night type of thing. That would be pretty cool. Fantastic idea. Sure. So I think this is going to lead us down some roads. Skill and Luck wants me to do a donation update before we continue. Let me do that real quick. Let me go to the board, the big board, as they say on the Jerry Lewis telethon, right? The big board says, where are we here? The bids on items. Have we gotten everything bid on? Let's see. My table is still showing, which is dumb. Let's get rid of that. We have everything. Still no big AC. I'm surprised by that. Color Up Mug has got no bids either, which is yeah. The Color Up's mug and the hat got nothing, and the owl. I may have to buy that owl. That owl is too cool. But yeah, we got a couple of things still open here. We're gonna pump these up during the last hour. The big thing. The money, the fundraiser money, is now at 20. Holy crap! 24.23. Can you believe that?
Nice.
Oh my God. And look at this. So you take 2,400 plus what's in the bidder, right? There's 5.25 here. So we're over $3,000 when all these bids come in. So give yourselves a huge hand, man. Everybody stepped up hugely. That's, oh my God, that's crazy. Huge update.
Awesome job, guys.
Yeah, man. And what's going to happen, people on the phone don't know this yet, Greg, but at the end, in the 5 o'clock hour, so when you're done, we're going to go to a Zoom call. It'll be everybody. Okay. Everybody's invited back to go on Zoom. Not everybody can make it, but everybody's invited to come back on the Zoom with us. And I'm going to post the link out here, and everybody who's in the chat, who's watching us live, is also welcome in the Zoom. So we're going to open this thing wide open. Just got to promise not to be swearing at each other and calling me names. But y'all can come on in the Zoom call, and we can chat it up for a few minutes, and we'll finalize the auction. And yeah, how about that?
Awesome.
That'd be a pretty fun way to end it. So yeah, with that said, you're up, man. What do you want to talk about? You got some stories, you got all kind of things on your mind, I'm sure. I keep asking everybody the same question. I mean, I'm asking everybody the same question first. The first out of the gate is, we're raising money for problem gambling, right? You play a super conservative system. I know you manage your money well. If you've got stories or knowledge or whatever in the area, I'd love to hear that. But also specifically, what do you do to manage your money? How do you keep things straight, narrow, and kind of on point?
It's very simple for me. I mean, I don't have a lot of the problems that some of the light siders have, because they have to balance a whole bunch of bets. Guys, I just keep it nice and simple. I have my simple don't. I know the amounts I want to play. I have the bankroll set up in advance. Guys, I just don't go wing it. I don't go in there with an ATM card or take a marker. I know what I'm going to play before I go to the casino. That's big. And for me, it usually involves some sort of don't bet with odds. So I have different strategies I play around with for different table conditions. But the bulk of the play is very simple. And we've talked about this, John. Mm-hmm. I'll do a simple 5 to 6 bet, don't with odds, 5 to 6 ratio. I can scale this up as high as I want to. I can go down. And I'll usually try to play, believe it or not, I play 25 with 30. But I do like to play at a $5 table. Because on a $25 table, it leaves you no place to go in case you have to adjust. Now, let me show you something real quick.
Sure.
If I was to play my normal 25 with 30, I do this all the time. I play my 25 with 30. Now, now I know what I'm in for here all the time. I'm in there for 55. But suppose I hit a bunch of come out rolls and they're all naturals. So now, some guys will start hedging, some guys will start laying. You know what I can do at a $5 table? I can just go down to a nickel and play the same 30. So, like, I have moves I can make here. Mm-hmm. And I want to be cognizant of what's going on the table. Now, a big thing I like to do is I like to scout my tables out in advance, and everybody who's on my channel knows this. I want to basically find the table that suits what I want to do. For me, it's usually dark side play. So I will do this. Now, how I started playing was just like everybody else out there. I don't call myself a don't player, John. I call myself a reformed light side. I learned just like everybody else. I walked up to the table, and the reason I went up to the craps table is because I heard people cheering, something you never see at any other type of table, not a blackjack. And you look, and I'm like, I want to be a part of that action. So I walk up to the table, and you can see my table. I mean, this layout is very intimidating. So the dealer teaches me about the pass line, and I get into it. And I quickly learn that if I'm going to stand a chance at this game, I have to learn this game. I have to learn what the payouts are. I have to learn the odds. I have to learn how to play, what pays, what's a good bet, what's a bad bet. And that's basically how I started. And it wasn't long before I found that the light side just didn't work for me. I could usually make a little money, but for me, the secret of light side was I have to get out of that roll as quickly as possible with my money and hopefully a little bit of cash. So what I did was I went straight into a 22 inside. Now I noticed right off the bat that the 4s and 10s just don't hit. They don't hit enough to justify them. And also they increase the amount of rolls you need to hit. Now, if I play, the simplest system here is the best system on the light side, in my opinion. Now, you can play a pass with odds if you have to, one-time odds. But believe it or not, people say, well, what's the best light side you can play? And this is how I learned to play because I didn't have the money. I was poor. And this, to this day, winds up being my favorite system. So I had to learn to preserve capital, especially on the light side. So what I would do is I would say, okay, now what do I need to break even on this? And I need just over 3 hits to break even, because if you hit on any of these numbers, it's $7 payout at very basic level, $7 payout. So 3 hits, just over 3 hits, I'm profitable on the 4th hit. Before that, I'm almost at my break even at $21 versus 22. And I found I could make money on this, and I could also pull down. I could remove a number. That's basically, you asked how I started Craps. That's how I figured it all out.
And so from that, are you locked?
Oh, I'm still here.
Okay, I thought you locked up there. So then from that, you figured it out at that point, and that sucks, right? And that's the same bet syndrome, right? 3 bets and you're out. But 3 bets is hard to get. It's hard to win 3 times.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think the problem with light side in general is this, John. I feel I compare this to going up and down a flight of stairs. You go up, no matter what happens, at the end of the roll, you're going to roll a 7. And then you get knocked back 4 steps. So I go up 3, I get knocked down 4. I go up maybe 10, I get knocked down 4. It always ends the same way, John. It ends with you getting knocked down 4. So it's a battle, but if you can keep it proportionate to your bankroll, if you can keep this low enough in proportion to your bankroll, you can actually, and of course, find the hot table. If you see that the 7's not working for you, you got to stop. I mean, you can't. Right. If you want to go to war and dig your heels in against the 7, you're going to lose, guys. Don't do that. That's a very bad idea.
Yeah, I think a lot of the folks, and like Skill and Luck is saying, I love my 2 or 1 hit regression. And again, I said this all the time. Regressions are fine. And I taught a regression system last week before. The problem with regression is you have to necessarily go above minimum. So it's more risk, and you got to be disciplined about getting the hell out of it, you know?
Absolutely.
And then you start bringing it when you're going at that high of a risk. So what you have here in front of you at 22, to regress that down, you've got to be at least 3x to come down to 1x, right? You got to be at least 66 to come down to 22, and, you know, or go 44, 266 back down to 22. And so you got to survive 2 hits with a lot of risk. And that's the inherent problem with that. And I do like regressions because I want to go from there. But you got to get out. You got to get out. Now, one thing that El Toro talks about, and it's kind of a modified Butterberg, is he goes across and he'll take 3 hits and he pulls down the win plus the number plus the sister number. And he reduces his exposure with every single hit. And in 2 hits, you're even with a profit. The 3rd hit is extra profit and you're out. You're out of all 3 hits or all three rounds of it. You're good. Smart way to help your, and the Butterberg is 1 hit and you pull down. He's pulling 2 at a time, and it makes sense. But you got to be disciplined. Like PJ,
that's the key to this game.
PJ challenged me and he said, "Are you sure? Are you telling me you're going to take 2 hits at 160 across and get out?" Yes. 2 hits at 160 across is $70. If I can do that in one shooter, holy crap, I'm out of here, man. That's great. And I don't think I can do it again. Like I don't have this illusion that because I did it, I can repeat it. Like you saw when I played with Jeff, the first time through, I did it. Second time through, PSO. Took all my profits away.
Yeah, it happens. And this is the danger of the light side.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about this, and so the one thing I talked about with Big AZ last night, and when I'm doing the pure dark side, I definitely do a few don't come bets. I'm like, don't pass with some don't comes. And I've told you this, I like the flat payout over the odds. I don't lay the odds I don't like laying the odds. I don't like putting out more to win less. I realize you're the favorite, but I've already got a flat bet, which is the best payout. I like having multiple 7 bets. So my don't pass, a no 4, no 5, and a no 8, or whatever the don't comes go to, because you can't lose your money in one roll. The light sider can lose their entire bankroll in one shot. The don't better cannot. If they spread their 7s around, you can't get crushed in one roll.
Well, here's what I have to say about the size of the bet on the don'ts. If you are, my opinion now, and you can disagree, my opinion is if the bet is so big that you're tempted to hedge it, the bet is too big for your bankroll. So, for example, if I want to put a $100 bet, well, this all sounds fair and well, fine and well, but the problem is if I'm getting nervous about losing on a couple of 7s or 11s, that's a problem. So you got to be comfortable with the amount you're playing the bet, especially on the don't, because you're not favored on this bet. But I agree with you. The better payout makes it worthwhile, but you better be able to eat the risk. That's all I'm saying.
That's what happened to me today. I ate the risk and I got burned on one. I earned it back, but I got to break us for a minute. I wanted to say one thing. So William is saying this. We're talking about the Big AZ, auction item. Big AZ is footing the bill. He's donating himself, and he will pay for the golf. You're just going to pay the charity. So if you want to do the golf with Big AZ, it goes to the charity. He's going to foot the bill for the golf and going out with you. So you're not paying any, like nobody bought a round of golf. Big AZ's doing that out of his own pocket. That's why that's such a cool thing. He's donating himself. He's paying for the golf. He's getting you to the casino and hanging out. So it's not, we didn't buy a round of golf. That's what he's buying a round of golf because he wants to. So
that's a good deal.
I want to clear that up because
round of golf is not cheap.
It ain't cheap, especially in Arizona, right? So yeah, there you go. Yep.
Seriously.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, John, you spoke about regressing a second ago.
Yep.
Well, I like the way I show my stuff is I like to show it so it's friendly for guys with very small bankrolls. In this situation that I played the 22, if I was noticing that too many numbers were coming out, what I would do here is I would just come down off the 5 and 9. Mm-hmm. I take 2 hits and I come down off the 5 and 9. Guys, you got to be if you're uncomfortable, you're reading the table and it's not the right way. I want you to feel comfortable with your bets. Remember, guys, this light side is a killer. I got to tell you something, John. A lot of dice influencers think I don't like them or I don't favor dice influence. Let me tell you something, and this is going to shock you guys. I feel a special kinship with both dice influencers and with hedge bettors, and the reason being is we all basically had the same conclusion. We drew the same conclusion, and that conclusion in my mind is this. This isn't working. And we all just took a different path with that same information. You, for example, let's take Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps. Jeff said, it's not working, so I'll hedge, but I'm a little more optimistic than Greg. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hedge it. I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to get some separate protection. Me, I say, nah, I got to scrap this whole thing for the most part. I'm going to go to the don't, and I'm going to enjoy this. Now, the dice influencer, he reaches also the same conclusion. And what he says is, I have to basically cheat the game to make this work. And that's where we're all cut out of the same cloth when it comes to this. So I think it's a very important distinction to make. And I have friends who dice influence. So I'm not against you guys, but I want to say something. I don't feel right unless I warn people of the pitfalls of some of this stuff. So, I got to sometimes be blunt, not as blunt as Ken, but blunt to tell you, guys, this is where the danger's at. Know it. And so this way you know what you're doing. If you understand the risk, then go have at it. That's my opinion on the whole thing.
Well, and I think, and I talked about this with El Toro, and I think you would agree, and it's just your point of view as well, with the dice control crowd, I suppose, right, is overbetting your skill, or falling into this trap of, I can do it, therefore I'm going to go heavier on whatever, dangerous, right? And Brian, Hawaii Crap Shooters, right? They're all controlled shooters, every one of them. They all qualify each other. Like, they don't just run out there with a huge stacks of cash. Right. Brian's doing the qualifier. He's betting the no 4 for a few minutes, and he's, getting them ready because they know too. Right. And they're not overbetting their skill. They're going to go all in once they get even. They're going hard, but they're not jumping out there 540 out of the gate. Right. That's not what's happening. And I think you got to have this open mind about, like, hey, this is the way to play this, because even though we can exert some control, or we've practiced this thing, it's not panacea.
That's true. But Brian's interesting. Brian's turning into a hedge guy, which is,
he is, yeah.
I never thought I'd see a dice influencer like him turn into a hedge guy, which is impressive. And like you said, he doesn't overbet either. I mean, John, you know the old dice influencer way to do it. Right across.
Yeah.
100
exactly.
and 140 on the 6. Guys, that's freaking suicide. I don't do that. Maybe if you got BGE's money, you can do it.
Well, if you're buying in for 5K, you could do that. Even 5K is not enough to get that's 600, right? You need to have $6,500 to get across 10 times.
Serious.
And if you lose one, that's $650. Like Charlie said, that's an 80-inch TV.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
I love Charlie.
I mean, that's
Charlie
a month
and
of tuition. Yeah, that's a month of tuition at my kid's school, right? Yep. That ain't like the kind of thing that I'm just going to go, unzipping it and rolling it out there. Like, you don't do that. That's just it. So yeah, it's kind of like, I'd never do that. Yeah. Most of us don't have that kind of bankroll, and Charlie doesn't play that way.
He has a $5,000. He goes in, he's told you he'll go down with the ship. Well, you know something?
Well,
Charlie, you throw $100,000 out there. I know Charlie.
He will.
So, and he won't look back, and he won't miss it either, because he's got it.
He's got it.
But I don't recommend it. See, I can't play like Charlie. Charlie and I love Charlie, and I agree with Charlie on a lot, but I don't agree with Charlie on some things also. I'm probably going to get heat because Charlie's so beloved. But we've talked about this, John. The dice, and this is my opinion, you can disagree, the dice don't have memory at all. So some of what he's doing, while true, very true on the surface, you don't see 10s very often. But you have to remember, when you're looking at it in this context, it's like this. Once you are 8 rolls in and you've already rolled the 4 4s, you pick up these dice on roll number 9, you still have the exact amount of chance of rolling it as your first 4. All those rolls are in the past. They're the wake of the boat, like I explained to you. So this is very scary. I don't like to play that way because there's a certain amount of gambler's fallacy in it. These dice always have the same amount of combinations to roll a 4 or a 10. It's 1 in 6 to roll them together collectively, and it's 1 in 12 to roll them by just a single 4. Every time I pick these dice up to roll, I can roll a 4 1 out of 12 times. The dice do not remember what rolled before, nor do they know what will roll after. So it's a very important point. Charlie's way of gambling makes me too nervous. I wouldn't be able to do that. And I don't recommend it, except for him, the bankroll, he can cover it, and he's not going to look back, and he's not going to, be upset about it. So, if you like Charlie, go for it. If you like Greg, don't go for it. So that's all I want to say on that.
Right. And I wouldn't do it. And I think, and I was trying to say this to him last night a little bit.
Are we frozen?
There's this, what's that? What'd you say, Greg?
Uh-oh.
No, I got you still. You're still there. We can all hear you. Oh, maybe your video cut out.
Maybe John, are we frozen?
Your video is frozen, but your audio is good. Maybe. We may have to have Greg reconnect.
Uh-oh.
No. Yeah, he's I think he's getting a little bit of an internet problem, so maybe he should reconnect. Let's see. Yeah, you're frozen. Somebody write him back in chat. Tell him to disconnect and reconnect if he can hear us. Yep. He said okay. So we'll keep talking about. Well, I want Greg to hear what I got to say.
Okay.
Jump in there. Hey, you're back, kinda. Maybe. Nope. It must be a cold table. That is a good one, Brian. That is funny. There he goes. Let's get him back here. All right. There he is. Can you hear?
I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
I don't know what happened.
I think your cat might have stepped on the cord. What happened? No, what I was getting to with the Charlie thing is it's this weird combination of like the three things that and he's funny because he actually said to me, "Are you sure you want me on your show?" He said, because people really hate me sometimes for what I had to say, and they really love something. Like, he's got a very loyal following, but he knows that people dislike him. And I'm like, dude, this is the whole point of this is to get the views out there, right? Because I don't know his strategy that well, and I wanted to hear about it. But it's got three points to it, which I think we can all agree are a little scary. One, martingale. Two, gambler's fallacy. And three, it's likelihood versus probability. And I think that's the third one is the one that I think gets you in trouble, right? The likelihood of something happening has nothing to do with the probability that it will. And zero of that has to do with each other. And I think when he ties them together, that's where I get the worry. And I get it. You're not going to see 10 10s in a row. You never, out of a billion rolls, it's happened 3 times. Well, it could. But if you're there for one of those 3 times, you get your clock cleaned. And I just don't, I don't have that kind of bankroll to withstand that. And I think that the table maxes are set up so you can't. So he has to go to table max 4 times in a row to recover if he gets to level 6, 7 in the martingale. That's a concern.
Pretty much, yeah. That's why I won't play it. And like I told you, the statistics are exactly the same every time you pick these dice up. You cannot rely on what rolled before for your calculations. It holds up when you consider. If I would, let me tell you what I did the other day. I did it on film. Some of my followers saw it. I rolled 4 hard 4s in a row. Now, guys, this is a 1.65 million to 1 shot, and I did it on film. You can go back and see that video. But every time I picked up these dice, I had the same exact probability of rolling that 4. It's 1 in 12. It's 3 in 36. So once I got to my 3rd roll and I picked up these dice, guess what? Those other rolls no longer mattered. They're the wake of the boat, like we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was back at being a 1 in 12. Now, that's just one example, but it holds up with any number. You roll 6 7s in a row, you pick up the dice on the 7th time, I'll never roll another 7. Well, guess what? You have the same exact probability. So I just wanted to say that, be careful, guys, if you're going to chase. I'm a very cautioned player, but don't believe necessarily. Dice do crazy things. I've seen it. This is one thing Charlie said to me, and why one of the reasons he respects me so much is he says, Greg, you have casino time. I know how much casino time you have. I don't have as much as you. Guys, I've seen a lot of stuff, crazy stuff you think would never happen on a craps table happen. Because if you sit there long enough, it'll happen. So, guys, you got to be very careful with gambler's fallacy because it will bite you. If not right away, eventually.
Yeah, no question. And that's the thing. And you can't, You can't bet on it. That's the thing that I think is it's easy to say in your head, yeah, there's no way that can happen. Right? Ken told a story 15 minutes ago that it happened. And by the way, a quick note to the crowd here. I've lowered the reserve price on the golf. So if you're still interested in that, you can get in a little cheaper now. But yeah, Ken mentioned it on his foray into being a pro, or doing it for a living rather. He got bit by a martingale at a roulette table, you know, and he got bit. It bankrupted him one time, and he's like, man, like that was. He's like, his exact words were that it was soul crushing. You know, and it can be, you know, and at the times, here's the thing, right? Ken's at the casino with, you know, a couple, 1,000 or two. I think it was $2,500. He said was his entire bankroll. His entire bankroll. It was life. Lost 500 and change at the roulette table. Right, it was a quarter or 25% of your bankroll. That's an ass kicking. Not all of us have 100K in the bank to run to the casino and drop 14 on the table and be okay with it. You know, and the math behind that thing works. And I think Shackelford says the same thing too, right? And to me, if you're going to rely solely on the math, then you're trying to play the casino's game and you can't be there long enough. And you don't have enough money to beat them, right? That's why I'm such a trend hunter, because I know that I'm going to be there here. And in here, I can catch a little bit of goodness. That's my view of it. I may be wrong about that. It's worked for me because if I do catch a trend, I boogie. You know, and the minute I see it, I'm out. You know, and I'm okay with that. I don't, you know, like I said, I enjoy food and drinking and watching football games, and I can 100% bug out of a table with a $263 win and go watch football all day long. I'm good.
Heck yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Right. So I find John, strategies that are quick and safe, man. That's my whole way.
Let me address your throw the other day, because I don't know if everybody saw you throw when you were trying to instruct that system where you were piling up on the 6 and 8.
Oh God, that was so bad.
John, I actually thought about the math on that afterwards. Now I wanna go over this a little bit with you, just to put this in perspective. Not what you did, but some of the math here.
Yeah.
You have a 6, a 7, and an 8. You basically, if you took a 6, 7, and 8 and added them together, you have about a 16 dice combinations to roll a 6, 7, and 8. Now, you did not roll a 6, 7, or 8 in 23 rolls. Now, you know what else has 16 combinations? The field. To put this in perspective, picture martingaling a field, like you were just saying about martingaling, and missing 23 straight times in a row. The math is identical.
Yeah.
So that's to give you an idea of what an amazing thing you did. But I say incredible things happen on the craps table. Unbelievable things. And that your rollout was just a demonstration of just that.
That was the funniest rollout, because I literally had piled the 6 and 8 up to what, 220 each or something like that.
It was ridiculous.
And they just never hit. Yep. They just never hit. And I had 23 rolls and I lost $50. Because my strategy was to only collect on the 6 and the 8, pile it up on them, and only collect on them. They never hit. Insanity.
Not one time.
The table will find a way to bite you.
That's why I call it the buttercup.
Yeah.
You filled me up to let me down.
Now you're gonna sing.
I knew that was gonna happen.
The people want you to sing. Yeah, you got to sing that now. Come on.
Why do you build me up, buttercup baby, just to let me down and pass me around, and then worst of all right, that's it. That's all you get.
There it is. That's right. There you go.
I was singing that at my desktop. I was actually singing that because I know you too well. I knew you were going to do that. I said, watch this. He's not going to hit a single 6 and 8, and that thing speaks over $200 and he's going to miss.
Oh,
and
my
sure
God.
as heck, John.
How is that possible? Yeah. But you know what? The best thing is that you sung on the show. So that's worth the price of admission for everybody here. Getting here.
Oh, you guys saw what I did to Waylon. What I did to Waylon's strategy, I rolled like 10 floors. He has a lace strat. I did it twice. I don't. You can't make this stuff up, guys. Crazy things happen in craps.
Didn't you? You did that on when you were doing Jacob's anything but 10 strategy too, right? You roll like 4 or 5 tens in a row that day. And you're like, this is like $1 billion to one shot or something.
In a row, out of the gate, I rolled 4 tens in a row, and I had to scrap the video because I essentially bankrupted myself so much that it wasn't worth showing. I couldn't explain anything. I just hit 10 after 10 after 10. And me and Jacob are good friends too. And I've told him, I said, Jacob, I wrote 4s and 10s sometimes. If I get on a heater with him, and you will get your clock cleaned on this. And says, basically, and not to knock Jacob, another guy who I absolutely love. Basically, the anything but 10 is like this. You're taking all this money and you're putting a late 10 to cover it. So you're playing your whole inside. But the problem is you're laying double money. You have half the risk of rolling a 10, but you have double the money. It's a wash, guys. It's a wash. So if you wind up getting hot on that 10, you're up the creek, so to speak,
That's right.
And I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, crazy things happen in Craps. So that's one thing I told him. I said, I would not feel comfortable putting $600 on a 10, knowing that I could pop 2 or 3. I killed Wayland with the White Rabbit. So you guys know anything can happen.
Well, I coach baseball, and we say this all the time. Every year I see something that I think there's no way that could happen. And life will throw things at you, and you just never know. And I've seen it. I've been rolling stuff out here on my table as have you, and we've done things that break statistics, that totally break stats. And that's why I'm not a math player. When I see things like 4 or 5 tens in a row, when I see never hitting a 6 in 23 rolls, I mean, those things happen. And that's why I don't bet based on pure math, because pure math will get you bit, I think.
Absolutely. I agree with that. You can't go all math. If you go all math, you wind up playing a casino's game. You have to be able. There's lots of invisible costs on this game too. People don't understand. The volatility thing is another invisible cost. Now, you were saying about house edge. Yeah, sure, John. I could go ahead. I could take $100 don't pass, and I could stack up $1,000, in odds against the 10. That would be 5 times odds. But what is this going to do to my bankroll volatility? There's no metric for this to measure this, and you're gonna put your bankroll in jeopardy. You're gonna get an unlucky short roll, and you're gonna go home broke. People say, "Oh, I'm gonna stick to the math." The math means that I'm gonna lower the house edge to 0.0, whatever it is. But it's coming at a cost, guys. You can't survive a storm like this. So I find, as much as I love Michael Shackelford, really seriously, I was fanboying over Michael. Total math. If you're so blinded by math you can't see anything else, you're actually going to get yourself hurt in this game. So you have to bear that in mind too.
Well, and I'm with you. I love Michael, and I really like Charlie, and I think it's funny because Michael, Charlie, Jacob, they're all saying the same but opposite things, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm always impressed by when people's brains work, right, in ways that my brain can't, in ways that my brain can't work. And I joke, I haven't had a math class, honest to God, since 1986. So I'm lucky I can do basic math,
Oh, I love that.
Right. I mean, I like it better now a little bit, but I don't know. This is basic math to me. And I look at what can happen. And I said, as the baseball coach in me looks at every bet and says, what is the worst thing that can happen? If this happens, what happens here? If that happens, what happens here? And I do the what if game to myself ad nauseum.
Well, watch the Buttercup. Watch the Buttercup. You can see what can happen.
Yeah, totally. Right. That's the worst that can happen. 100%.
No, really. Right? Anything can happen with dice. I learned that quickly. You talk about martingale. I was a brand new player in Craps. Actually, in the casino. I was only 21 when I saw this. I walked up to a roulette pole and I saw 19. Well, when I walked up, it was 12 reds in a row on the pole. The numbers have red or black. And I'm thinking to myself, this might be a good time to play a black. But I didn't want to play roulette. I just wanted to watch.
Sure.
The thing went to 19 in a row and did not hit a single black. And then it finally hit a black. But oh my God, could you imagine there was probably guys on that table who bet their behinds on that because they thought, how can it lose? Again, gambler's fallacy, John.
Well, it's fallacy. And like me, I'm the trend guy, right? So as soon as the second red comes, I'm on red. And I'm on red for 3 and I'm doing the regression. And then going progression, back, progression, and I would have hit that thing. I would have hit it 11 times because I'm in the streak. That's how I do it, right? And if that's the only way to. That's the way you win in the casino is you catch a streak and you're on it, and then you bail. Mm-hmm. And if you catch one of those things, and I've seen that happen in Baccarat too. You go to Baccarat, 11, 12 bankers in a row, and if you're on it, absolutely, and you're doing a the 1, 3, 2, 4 or the I would do like a 3, 1, and then 2, 4, 6 and down. That was my progression in Baccarat. And you catch 5 in a row, you're done. That's $300, and you're out of there. And that's where you make it. I would never go opposite. Absolutely. Charlie and other people would say the opposite's about to happen, and I don't go there.
No, I'm 100% with you. As a matter of fact, I've told you this. I've spoke on the channel. I scope out a table to see what it's doing, because yes, John, it will not guarantee what's going to come next.
No.
But if I want to go and buy groceries, I don't go to the hardware store. I want to catch that trend. If it's happening, I want to be part of it. Now,
totally.
Is it a guarantee? If I want a girlfriend, I'm not going to go to a convent. I want to find what I'm saying. Now, no, it's not a guarantee, guys. Absolutely not. But why wouldn't you want to see what you want to see? And I do the same thing. And when I guess you could say I qualify the table in a way. And that's what I do. John, I see we're running out of time. Can I discuss one more thing?
Whatever you want, man. It's just your time.
I want to talk about there's a topic here that I'm going to wind up covering this a lot in a video. We talked about volatility, but I think when a lot of people are missing the boat on bleeding from bets. And I want to show you this. I want to show you a couple of examples of this. Now, we talked about 22 inside. Guys, I told you this is the best way, in my opinion, not necessarily the level, but this is, my opinion, the best strategy on the light side if you're going to play box numbers. Now, remember, guys, I call this the elephant graveyard. This is where money comes to die. People never take it back. But this is the best strategy to play. Now, a lot of times people say, well, hold it. You got 22. Let's go ahead and play an iron cross. Now, guys, I've done this comparison with the iron cross. So they'll take this money and put it here, and they'll play an iron cross instead. Well, guys, I don't think you realize how much the bleeding on this field is actually eating you alive. I've done trials. You may not know this, John, either, but I've sat there. I didn't have craps here in Florida. We still don't have it. A lot of times I would take a couple of dice before I even had a rig or a table, and I would throw them against the wall. I'd track rolls. 80 to 90% of the time, this simple bet inside paid as much or more as the iron cross. Many times it was more. And the reason is it's bleed out, guys. If you're bleeding out from the field over here, and you say, well, hold on a second, how can that be? I have 2, 3, 4. The numbers I'm talking we don't have. 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, and 12. Yeah, guys, but you bleeding out this nickel when you lose, this bleed out is killing you here, and you don't even realize it. So you think you're saving yourself some money, and I'll show you one more quick example with this, because I want to get fully into this in a video. I told you in Biloxi we have auto buy on the 5 and 9. So people, I've talked to, if you're willing to play the amount necessary, you can play. You can play $30 on the 5 and 30 on the 9. You'd have to play them all for 30 if you play the 6 and 8. Now, this is inside. Now, you say, okay, well, Greg, what does it pay? Well, if you were to hit a place 5, for example, this would pay $42. Now, if you were to auto buy it and play the same 30, you would get paid $44. It's 45 minus $1 fee. So I've had people say, well, Greg, what are you doing? You're $2? Let me give you a little of the math on this to show you how bleed out works. Now, on the 5 and 9 alone, forget the 6 and 8. On the 5 and 9, you have 22.22% of the dice rolls will be a 5 or 9. So let's say you roll for 100 times. 100 dice rolls, you are expected, let's round it up to 25%. You are expected to hit out of 100, you're expected to hit 25 5s or 9s collectively. Because that's what the statistic is. I know you'll sometimes hit more, you'll sometimes hit less. But you will hit, on average, say you hit 25. That's $50 in your pocket for doing nothing. If you stay for 200-300 rolls, this is the bleed out we were talking about. I mean, it seems like what's $2, Greg? It's nothing. Bleed out, guys. Payouts matter. Can you hear me still, John?
Yeah. The people are jumping into Zoom. I'm giving the 1 minute to go. Yeah, just so they know that we're going to be here. Yep.
I just wanted to show you how bleed out affects you.
Yeah.
And it does. And it's something trivial like $2 you think wouldn't. At the end of the session, you can put another $100 or more in your pocket for doing absolutely nothing. This is how bleed out affects you on bets. This is how house edge. You seemingly think, well, they don't pay me right on the 12. Big deal. It is a big deal, guys. It's that bleed out. It's that invisible loss you don't see. So I wanted to cover that, and I'm going to get into this in depth, but I did want, for anybody who's not a subscriber of mine, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. But, this is how 555 Craps attacks the game. This is the way I do it. I do things. And I think I have something to offer in this regard.
100%. When you break this kind of stuff down, it's fantastic. And actually what I was going to ask you, we got like 4 minutes left or so, because one of the things you do better than almost anybody is, and reason why I kind of fell in love with your channel early on was the way that you break your strategies down, not yours, but other people's. You're like, hey, let me go review the strategy. And then you give us, the holes and where it can win, but you got a way to break it down that's different. And I'd love for you to kind of chime in on, what are you looking at when you break something down as far as pros, cons, where it gets the Greg thumbs up or the thumbs down? And by the way, we've got Casino Quest, Craps Master Journey, Brian, and Dave Carlin already in Zoom waiting for us, which is great. So once we are done here, we're going to jump all over there. It's going to be great.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I don't want to see too big of a house edge. I'm going to look very hard at the amount of, because guys will say we play this amount of bankroll. I don't want to see high volatility plays. I don't want to see it. I mean, volatility I could talk to you about for an hour. There's all kinds of it, but we don't have the time. But I want to make sure you have decent bets. I want to make sure you're not overexposed, especially light side, in time, in bet number of bets, and in bet amounts. If you trigger one of these things, you're probably going to get a criticism for me. Playing bad bets. I mean, obviously, if you're going to play a ton of, and we talked about bleeding, a ton of bad bets. If you start playing hard ways in there, a lot of hard ways, and you have hard ways every time and prop bets every time, guys, that's that bleeding I was talking about. I don't want to see you do that because you may not feel it at the time, but it is affecting you. So I want to make sure, one, you're relatively safe, and two, you're relatively low volatility. So that's very important to me. And John, if I could say one other thing, I thought you'd find this interesting. Do you know this belt that I have here? The game of craps came in 1805 to Louisiana. And this belt I have here, this belt was invented by a guy by the name of John H. Wynn. He's from Philadelphia. He was a dice maker. And I don't know if you knew that, but he's a Philly boy like you. And this, if you look at pictures, this same felt, I've looked at pictures online of casino. Go ahead and Google 50s craps tables. You'll see people in all the 1950 with the hairstyles and everything, and they're playing on this same exact table that I am. That this Philadelphia boy like you, he made this layout, and it hasn't changed at all. This is an old game. And I thought it was very fascinating. The bumpers, I've looked at, maybe I'll post a picture on my link in my community tab. It's like you could step back in time. My grandfather, my father, me, and my kids would probably all play on the same felt, this type of felt, which I think is really amazing how awesome the game of craps is, how old it is and stuff. So I thought you'd find that interesting.
That's way cool. Yeah, of course it's Philly guy, right?
Yeah. What else could it be? I mean, Philly guys are the best.
The don't bet started in Philly. That's great. It's the best line ever. The don't bet started in Philly. We booing people throwing dice since 1812, man. That's it.
Yeah, well, absolutely. The main part of the table, they did not have the pass and the don't pass part. They didn't exist the way they exist here. So he put them on, and nothing besides some carnival bets. It's exactly the same as it ever was. So it's. I think it's fascinating that we are a part of something so big and so old that the game of hazard that this was based on, which plays a little different, is 600 years old. I mean, this game in some form or other has been around for so long.